You know what really sucks? When you sit down after a long day or a long week and you can't find anything to watch. On Netflix, on Hulu, on any of the streaming services, or at least it seems like you can't find anything because there's so many choices. That's why I'm making this video today. I'm your girl Melly, and I wrote down some things, some shows on Netflix that I enjoyed, and I'm really picky with my shows. Well, when I'm not working. So I have my full-time job, and then I have like my side gigs. So after work, I work. And usually I like to have something in the background. So in those cases, I'll watch a really, really dumb show. Like those shows that I'm like, I probably lost some brain cells watching that. Like, I won't even say them on here because it's kind of embarrassing. But I do have those shows that are kind of just background shows. But then I have the shows and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was really good. I do like shows that are like a little bit thriller, a little bit like where you have to think. Like, I don't want to just know what happens because most shows nowadays follow kind of the same idea, and sometimes you can kind of guess, and I don't like that. So I'm hoping the shows that I share with you today are, you know, a little bit different for you, but that you can enjoy them too. So we're gonna start with, and these are not in a particular order, I guess. This is gonna be number one, but it's not in a particular order. But I really, really enjoyed this show, which is The Haunting of Hill House. I'm gonna try not to say any spoilers, but this one is kind of like a thriller. I don't know if it's really horror, but it's does have some jump scares in there. I really enjoyed the show. It's about a family that moves into a house, an old house, and there is some like paranormal activity. It jumps from, you know, the past to the future, and at the very end there are things that kind of, well, like any show, right? At the very end, everything gets tied together, but there's just some cool things that you don't expect, some connections that you don't expect, and so I really like that about that show. The creator of the show actually has another show that's on my list, and that is The Fall of the House of Usher. What I like about this series is that it's the same creator, so he uses, or she, I don't really know which one is it, they use the same actors. Not all the same actors, kind of like American Horror Story, where some of the actors will move from season to season, even though it's a different story. So I really like that because I do like some of the actors that are in the original. They do have some other ones. I think there's 4 like in this series, but the other 2, they just didn't grab my attention as much. So The Fall of the House of Usher is about a dad that is being investigated by the police after his 6 kids die in crazy ways. And 2 of his kids are his, and then the rest are from different moms. And so they are all pretty much half siblings for the most part. They do have some gruesome deaths. And so this cop is investigating the dad to try to see what happened. And I think half of them die like the first week, and then like the following week the rest die. And so when we get to the show, the dad is by himself. So it's pretty interesting to learn, you know, how they all pass, and in the end why this is happening. That one is also like a horror slash thriller, maybe not a thriller, like mystery is the word that I'm thinking of. The next show on my list is a show called Bodies. This is my most recent watch, and I really enjoyed this show. I had not seen most or any of these actors before, and they really did a good job. What the show has to do with is 4 investigators who are investigating the death of the same guy, but they're all at different times. One is in the 1800s, 1900s, and 2 are in the 2000s. So it's really interesting to learn what happens, and also like their individual stories throughout the show. And so they do end up figuring it out and kind of working together in a way. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I would recommend it. Next on my list is a show called Casa de Papel, or better known as Money Heist, because that's the English title. It is in Spanish, so you either have to know Spanish or be willing to watch it with subtitles or like different audio. It has a lot of audio, a lot of languages, a lot of audio in different languages. But I don't really like using that. I rather read it and do subtitles personally. Anyways, this show is pretty great. There are a couple of seasons to it. What I like is that it's a group of outcasts and one very, very smart professor, and they are stealing from a bank. And it's just interesting, to learn how they came up with their plan and how this professor, is put on the spot. And he's just so smart and comes up with really creative ways to get him out of certain issues. Number 5 is Sense8. Sense8, I think you do have to have, I don't know how to explain it. You have to be open to certain things. I laugh because it's not that I like these scenes, because they have, so what it is about is this group of 8 people from around the world that are connected. And it's pretty cool watching them help each other out. And they're trying to figure out how this happens. It's funny, when they first start noticing it, because they can see the other person and take over each other's bodies to help each other get out of certain situations. So it's really interesting. It's kind of cool to think about, but because they can take over each other's bodies, they can also be part of their experiences sexually. So there are some scenes that I was like, I'm just gonna skip through this part because there was a lot of those scenes. And it's just a big ball of people. So that's why I laugh, because, if you just happen to walk into the room and somebody's watching that, you're gonna be like, what the heck are you watching? But I did like the rest of the show. I did like the story behind it. So I would still recommend it, just with that warning. The other show that I have on my list is Black Mirror. I like Black Mirror. It's one of those shows that has different stories. Like each episode is just a different story, and it has to do with people and technology. I think they have about 5 or 6 seasons. Their seasons are pretty short, but I like what they kind of brought to the table. So it shows some of the bad things, some of the good things about technology. I think mainly they're all bad because it's Black Mirror, but it's kind of cool. And it's like that future vibe, which I like. For example, I'm gonna do a spoiler here, but there's a lot of episodes. There is one where people, like, they have something like in their brain where they're recording everything they're watching, and this girl, she ends up killing somebody, and they know she was there, so they're investigating her. And she knows that somebody saw, so she goes to their house and kills the woman, and even kills her baby, because they're able to like connect to the baby's brain, and the baby was blind, which is horrible. I guess that is really a spoiler, but she didn't have to kill the baby, but she did. And then they end up connecting to the gerbil's brain and finding that it was her. So yeah. So it's cool to see how they put these futuristic things, about technology and the person, but it does have a dark spin to it. So I am intrigued by those episodes. I don't think they've done one in a while, but I think they're kind of cool. So I think I'm going to end there. That's 6 shows that I recommend to watch on Netflix. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. I know people are always looking for shows to watch, good shows to watch. So I'd love to hear them in the comments. If you watch any of the shows that I mentioned, let me know how you like them. Were they for you? Is there things you didn't like? It's always fun to get that information too. So again, I'm your girl Melly. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you in the next one.